This one's going to be fun. I mean, I would argue that they all are. I really enjoy exploring all of these subjects, all of these topics. Back before, when I had even more permeable boundaries than I do now, I've really been doing the work to just, kind of just like, so that people can't, like, but previously, on this episode of Chris and his permeable boundaries, I'm just kidding. Really, that would be funny, wouldn't it? That'd be kind of like a fun thing to play with. No, but really, previously, when I had more permeable boundaries than I do now, I kind of approached my relationships on the basis of thinking that it was my job to like fix and save people, right? And with that came a lot of just like yeah, I'll help you. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, right? And I'd kind of like go into session with them and I'd kind of like act as like the life coach and everything. But like people would tell me that they needed it and stuff. Like people would tell me that other people needed it, and I would approach them. And it was totally permeable boundaried and everything. Even at sometimes, I mean, I wouldn't say like entirely boundaryless because I have boundaries, but they've been permeable, right? And so, it's kind of like a showcase for like self help. It's like, I don't know. Here's the book, read it. And then, all these different exercises that I would like do with them and stuff. And I mean, I didn't go like crazy into depth, but what I really want to focus on here that I think is like the funniest out of everything is I was just so sure that like the next day that I would meet them, their life would just be so different. Like they would be changed, right? Like I kind of expected people to change overnight. It's like, here, I've got your cure. Read this fucking book. Do this exercise. Write in this journal. Do this, that, and the other, right? And then like, yeah, by the time we meet next time, you'll be changed. You'll be a new person. What I'm talking about here actually has a lot less to do with my approach to people and my expectation for them to change based on like just one time of like talking to them about their issues and this, that, and the other, and more so actually about, I mean, it is about the expectation that an individual will change overnight because I've had the expectation that people change like that, right? But it's actually more so about just like how not accurate that is, right? I can imagine that other people out there have had the belief, the idea, the expectation that somebody in their life would change overnight, right? And what I really want to dive into here, which is like the main fabric of this, is just how genuinely and sincerely unlikely it is for. I mean, just to make it very clear, like, unless you go through a fucking total mind blowing experience with, like, I don't know, DMT or some type of psychedelic that just completely fucking rearranges your brain in such a powerful way that it's all different, right? And I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if it's ever happened. Like, I don't know. And I don't know what the future says of putting a fucking, I don't know, a chip in your brain and you're all of a sudden different. I don't fucking know. But what I am here to talk about and work with is what is known and the actuality of things. And it's funny because I say, like, what is known, and I'm reminded of, how Joe Dispenza talks about step into the unknown and this, that, and the other on a daily basis, consistently fire and wire, new, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and everything. I'm all for what he talks about. He's a fucking legend. I really appreciate what he has to say, and I agree with a lot of it. But to what extent does a person actually change overnight, right? Not only that, but a person depending on where they're at in their life and their willingness to actually choose different. Let me make this very clear. I would argue that changing your life is challenging, right? Because you're doing things that are different, which produce a different neurochemical experience, right? When you choose a different thought, it's different, it's weird, right? It's kind of unknown. When you choose a different emotion, it's different, it's weird, it's kind of unknown. When you choose a different behavior, it's different, it's weird, it's kind of unknown. Yeah, the same thing over and over again. But it's challenging to do that because from what I've learned and what I've also experienced, human people, we like comfort and familiarity. When even like one thing is fucking different, we throw a fucking shitstorm, right? And so like with that, it's just like, well, yeah, it's probably going to take a lot for a human to change, right? I mean, my life has changed a lot since I started meditating on a daily basis, journaling, doing the things that I do. You know, I have chosen to do different things because I wanted a different life. And that's just the reality of it, right? But, like, I have literally expected people to change at a rapid speed, if not overnight. And I mean, let's just look at the fabric of what's actually going on, right? One, humans love comfort and familiarity like they fucking love a jacuzzi, right? If you tell them with no problem to get out of that jacuzzi and step into an ice bath, they're gonna have a bit of a fucking problem with it, right? That's just the way that it is. We tend to go with things that are comfortable and familiar, even if they're not healthy for us. That's just the reality of it, right? And I'm talking both in terms of substance, in terms of relationships. We go with what's familiar, right? What's not familiar tends to make us feel weird and uncertain, and we don't like it. That's just the way it is. Now, on top of that, we tend to choose objects, and when I say objects, I'm specifically referring to people, but also like products that reinforce everything that we believe about ourselves, right? And so the likelihood of somebody choosing something different when different is the difference between sitting in a fucking jacuzzi, relaxed, with those relaxing, I don't know which one specifically, but those relaxing brain waves just chilling on repeat, right? Hey, you, go get into that ice bath. Yeah, go step outside of that comfortable, familiar, hot jacuzzi that you've loved forever and go step into that ice bath. Yeah, gotta go by, you know, like it's, it's so fascinating. It's not that people don't change. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Right? But I think that there's a third moral of this story on top of the two that I've already talked about. And that's having the audacity. And when I say audacity, I fucking mean this genuinely and sincerely. Having the audacity to not stay around to wait for somebody to change, to wait for it to happen. Because the likelihood of it actually happening is, from what I've learned, very low. You know, with a person's personality, right, that is fucking hardwired from a very early age. Thoughts, feelings, behaviors, all that shit just stays the same. They continue to choose based on comfort and familiarity, objects, both people and products in their life that continue to reinforce why the fuck they should stay exactly the fucking same and not change. Because if the difference between what they know and what they don't know, but they could do to change, is a fucking hot jacuzzi where they can relax, right? The difference is the ice bath. Shit. Man, that is some challenging shit. That really is, right? But really just like understanding that whether or not people change, it's none of your fucking place. It's none of your business. I mean, I'm really speaking to myself because I'm speaking to myself from, you know, just reflecting over years and years and years and years of just waiting around for people to change and actually trying to get them to change. because I feel like it's what's necessary. Again, not my place, and that's where the lack of healthy boundaries, in this case permeable boundaries, come into play. The fascinating thing that I've noticed the most is that the way that I used to approach things was trying to force outside of me, trying to change outside of me, right? And then things actually started to change. They weren't changing when that was taking place. I was actually pushing people away. Things really started to change when I, instead of trying to focus on the external and change and control the external, I brought my power and my energy and my awareness back to myself, and I started working on myself. I started getting healthier boundaries, and I'm really still doing the work of that. Permeable boundaries are very familiar. But just doing the work on myself, right? Then what happens is people are like, the fuck is he doing? What are you doing? You were just trying to change us. What are you doing now? And then they start to get curious, right? And then they're like, oh shit, maybe I want what he got. Or maybe I want what he's got, right? But what then happens is you don't step in and be like, here I am to the rescue. Let me show you. No. You just keep doing your own fucking thing. You lead by example, right? I used to expect people to change overnight, and then I just realized that that's not how it works, right? Let me just make this very clear. Everything that a person is, let's look at personality, right? Personality is hard. I'll end off on this. Personality is fucking deeply hardwired. It really is. It's a very hardwired set of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And the only way that that is actually going to change is if a person wants to. And I've literally heard people say that they don't want to change, that they're not going to. At least one person say, right? And whenever I hear that, it's kind of like, it's sad, because it's like, well, this is all you're gonna have, and you're gonna keep dealing with this shit, this, that, and the other, right? People are a prisoner of themselves, and I've been here too. I've created a prison for myself to live inside of, and locked it and just accepted it for what it is, right? And I'm learning to unlock that now. I'm learning to stop focusing so much on other people and how other people need to change, and start focusing more on how I need to change for myself as an individual. And that's really the transformative part right there. That's the key.